Today we're going to demo an Excel project to analyze sales data. This is a lab that students can use to assess their proficiency with formulas and get them practice inside of the live Office application. Before we start, I wanted to note that live projects will work on Windows or on Macs where the student has Office 2010, 2013, 2016, 2019, or the desktop version of Office 365 installed. They won't work with the online version of Office in a browser on Chromebooks or on Office for phones or tablets. Our live projects is an optional part of the course. Everything we're asking students to do in the live projects, we've also taught across the 349 simulations we have in our course. So students who don't have Office installed will still be able to become proficient for Office. This is just frosting on the cake for students who have access to that. As I start the lab, you'll notice that I'm going to open our project directly into Excel. I didn't have to download and save it anywhere. We're writing it, reading and writing it directly back to our servers. You can see that LabSim has detected that we've opened up the project and we're ready to start working. As soon as I go in and make a change to save it back, we can see that it's saved directly back to our servers. The student didn't have to give it a special name, go and figure out where it was saved on their computer and upload it back to our servers. I know that trips up people who aren't very experienced with Windows or Macs, and we're just trying to make it as smooth as we can for the students to give them the best possible experience. And that's all they have to do. And if I wanted to now, I could close it and I've got the lab in progress and ready to go. Looking back at our LabSim page, we can see that these are the tasks we want the student to do. We've been working with Microsoft to add another feature. We've created a free add-in to Microsoft Office that'll work in Excel, PowerPoint, or Word, where the student can, if they want, have this add-in installed for free, and it's easy. It'll be in the App Store, where they can view the task directly inside of Excel, PowerPoint, or Word. And I've opened it up here and we can see that we can do what our first task is. Because I'm using the add-in, I don't have to go to a split screen view. I can now just go Excel full screen and we can start on the first task. The first task is to calculate the average of the January and February sales using a formula. We don't care what the formula is, as long as they get to the right answer and they do use a formula. So for the first task, we will just do an algebraic equation. We'll say we want the sum of B2 and C2, January and February here, divided by 2, and that is the average we're expecting. So I'll go ahead and flash fill this down to finish the first task. Then using the task guide, I can track my progress, and I'll say that I'm done with this one. I'll move on to the second task. The second task is we want the average of March and April. Here we'll go ahead and use the Excel function average, and either path we take to calculate the average, as long as we get to the right answer, we'll give the student credit for doing it right. So here we're going to want the average of D2 and E2, and that's what we were expecting. So we can go ahead and flash fill this down, and we've now finished the first 2 tasks for the lab. We don't have to do the tasks in order, but we can open up the task list and track where we're at. And jump around if we get stuck. So we can just keep making forward progress. Let's go ahead and do the last task for this first sheet, which is we need to fill in the third column with yes or no answers on whether or not sales increased in March and April over January and February. So I'll use an if function here. I'll say if G2 is greater than F2, show yes, otherwise show no. And I was expecting a no, that's what I got. So it looks like we did it right. I'll flash fill that in and the data looks right. All right. At any point, the student can save the data back to our servers and close the lab. We've now got a copy of their work on our servers, and the student can pick up where they left off. The next day, they can switch computers. They can go home and work on this from a Mac. These are all options that are available to the student to keep it easy for them. So we'll go ahead and jump back into the lab, and we're going to do one more task. When I reopen the lab, we're going to be right where we left off. And now I'm going to jump over to task 8. Task 8 is we're asking the student to add colors to the title bar of this data set here. I'm going to do this task a little bit right and a little bit wrong. Instead of applying just a fill to the top row, I'm going to apply it to the entire table. So we're giving the student flexibility that they can go and choose any color they'd like, but we've told them to do it to a specific region. So we're going to give the student credit for this, but we'll let them know that they really should have just applied it to this region. Okay. Now that I've finished this task, I'll save it, and we'll go back to LabSim, and we see that it has the most recent copy of our work that was saved at 10:45. We could continue the lab, but for the demo, we'll stop now and we'll score what we've done. When I click on score, I immediately get the score results for the work I've done. And we can see that I got credit for the first 3 tasks, which is what we expected. We got credit for adding the fill color to the title row, but it also, LabSim is giving us a little nudge that we filled too many cells. We should have just done A1 to C1, and it gives us the steps of how we can do this better next time. If I'm confused by my score, I can review and reopen the last project I submitted as a student, and I can go and check to see maybe what I did wrong and what I can do better next time. We're also making this ability available to teachers. So here I've logged in as a teacher, and I can go and review what my work my class has done for any of the live projects. Let's go ahead and open up a class report, and we'll look at what work was done on the 5.11.3 resource. So I'll open up this report. I'm going to navigate us to 5.11.3, and we can see that Sean has worked on this lab 17 times. He's been practicing a lot. What his highest score, lowest score, and most recent project effort was, we just scored the at 10:45, and we got a 23%. As a teacher now, I can open up the report and see which task my student did. I can even go and open up the document the student worked on and check their work, and then I can give the student specific guidance on what they did right and what they missed, and I can help guide them if they're getting stuck or confused. This is available so I could go and look at their work on any, their worst, their best, or their most recent project, and on any student in the class.